Welcome to another installment of Turn Up the AC Hot Takes with Reason on a solo edition. So the undefeated and unified welterweight champion, Errol the Truth Spence Jr., looks to be finalizing a fight with former unified welterweight champion Keith one-time Thurman. But instead of this fight taking place at the welterweight limit of 147 pounds, this fight, to the surprise of many, will be taking place at super welterweight limit of 154. Spence is currently 28-0 with 22 wins by way of knockout, and Keith Thurman is 30-1 with 22 wins by way of knockout. None of Spence's titles will be on the line during this bout, and apparently he's been granted permission by the sanctioning bodies to take this fight at 154 without being stripped of his belts, the WBC, IBF, and WBA titles. But after the fight with Thurman, if he is successful, then he'll have 60 days to finalize the fight with WBO champion Terrence Bud Crawford for undisputed. And if he is unable to do that, then he will be forced to either face his mandatory, I believe, be the winner of Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, or he will be stripped of his belt. I don't know if it's going to be all of them or how that's going to work, but that's just what was being reported. Now, I'm all for this fight, regardless of the inactivity of Keith Thurman. This is still a big fight. I don't mind it being at 154. It's still a good fight regardless to me. Thurman is ranked in the top 4 or 5 of every sanctioning body's rankings at welterweight, and I'm willing to bet we're going to see the best Keith Thurman on fight night that we've seen in a very long time. Will that be enough to defeat Spence is yet to be seen. At Thurman's best, when he was the top dog at 147, the Spence fight always seemed like an uphill battle. I always favored Spence in the fight. But Thurman is very much a big threat to Errol Spence Jr. The inactivity, yes, Thurman hasn't looked great, in any of his fights, really. I mean, against Barrios, he won the fight, and he pretty much dominated the fight, to be honest. But there were moments where Barrios had his spots, and I'm not even sure, he might have even hurt Keith Thurman, if I remember correctly, at one point in that fight to the body, which is definitely a problem going against Spence, because he definitely works the body and can definitely hurt Thurman to the body, because Thurman's been hurt to the body in multiple fights, including the Pacquiao fight, when late in that fight he got hurt to the body, and that stopped his attack, and he ended up losing by split decision. So Keith Thurman, I think, he's gonna give a great performance that night. Like I said, Spence should be favored, but we're gonna get a good showing from Thurman. Whether or not he can win, that's yet to be seen. And despite all his inactivity and not looking good, Thurman's only loss is to legendary 8-division world champion Manny Pacquiao, and that fight is closer than people remember. Because as I mentioned, that body shot, I thought Thurman was coming on late, winning rounds later in that fight. But then when Manny hurt him to the body, that stopped his attack. And I thought Manny was able to win a round or two at the end of the fight that, got him the victory. The fight taking place at 154 is a surprise. But at the same time, it's kind of a brilliant move if you think about it for Errol Spence Jr. Now, he said in the past that he wouldn't face Keith Thurman because Thurman didn't want to fight him. And he gave every excuse in the book to not fight Spence when he was the one chasing Thurman. And that was the biggest fight to be made in the welterweight division. Thurman was named Spence's mandatory in 2022. So he's taking the fight, but he's not giving Thurman a shot at the titles. So maybe that's a petty move on Spence's part, but he's taking the fight, but you're not getting a title shot. But it does kind of help him in the matter with Terrence Crawford, because in the negotiations there, because if he's able to defeat Keith Thurman, he has 60 days after that to make a fight to come to a deal with Terrence Crawford. So he's basically showing Crawford right now, look, I'm not afraid to leave 147. There's a lot for Spence to do at 154. So him moving up to 154, if Crawford doesn't want to come to terms with fighting Spence, then Crawford's gonna be left alone at 147 with all the young lions, Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, and Montes Stanionis. So it's really Crawford's running out of like where does he go? You know, when it comes back to those negotiations, all the top people for 147 are with PBC, basically, and then even at 154, a lot of the bigger names that you would want to see Crawford fight, they're aligned with PBC as well. So it kind of puts more leverage on Spence's side and try to get the fight done with Terrence Crawford. So, because other than Crawford, I don't see Spence moving back down to 147 after the Thurman fight. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm definitely happy that this fight is going down, though. Spence and Thurman is a good fight, regardless if it's for any belts or not. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So as the fight gets closer, we'll definitely talk about it some more and give our predictions of how we think the fight's going to turn out when that time comes. So go ahead and leave your thoughts of who you think is going to win in the comment section. Go ahead and comment, hate, debate, whatever you want to do. We appreciate it all. This has been Reason. Turn up the AC Hot Takes, and we're out.